If you have been intimidated by the science behind circadian realignment and quantum biology, you are not alone, but I want you to know that that factor of it being so scientific doesn't mean that it's not practical and doesn't mean that you can't tackle it. And I know that there's so many amazing accounts out on social media with all of the super detailed scientific information. And I love those accounts and I follow those accounts and I learn from those accounts. I also understand as a practitioner the science behind these things. But for those of us just with our average everyday life, wanting to figure out how to feel better, I don't think it's necessary that we know every single scientific detail about this stuff to understand that it does work and to figure out how to implement it in our particular situation. In other words, the application of this information is more important than knowing all of the details of the deep science, especially when you're first starting out. And if it were me, there's about 7 areas that I would focus on: light, dark, zeitgebers, which are our secondary timers, things like when we eat, when we work out, heat and cold. I would look at seasonal and local nutrition, both from a modern standpoint of where you live right now, also ancestral, also looking at some of the ancient wisdom traditions and what they say about seasonal lifestyle, because that is very much interconnected with the circadian. I would look at hydration, and specifically I would look at fascia, and this is a really fun rabbit hole to go down. I would look at mitigating non-native EMFs and fixing your relationship with the Earth's magnetism by getting more grounding in. And I would learn how sound is affecting your biology. So those 7 areas are the ones where you can have the biggest bang for your buck, and I would do them in that order. And I would focus on the most important aspect of each of those things. For instance, getting up for morning sunlight, having complete darkness when you're in darkness hours and when you're sleeping. Now I know when you do this, because it happened to me, a lot of questions are going to come up. It seems really straightforward, and really in so many ways it is. But what about your particular situation? What about your family situation, your home life situation, your work situation? How do you make adjustments in these areas according to what's going on in your life? Well, I don't believe you have to give up everything. I believe that we can navigate modern life and embrace modern convenience to an extent. We can mitigate it through hacks, and to an extent we can overcome it by making sure we're getting back in touch with nature. And it's really important to me that as much as the science is so amazing to learn and really inspiring, I want people to actually get into action with this information. And that is why I created my 7-day Quantum Reset Mentorship. We are starting in just a few days. All the details below.